You know, we always hear that the universe is expanding. It's one of those fundamental facts of cosmology. But if you really stop and think about it for a second, a huge and what seems like a totally logical question pops into your head. It's a question that feels so simple, but it kind of breaks everything we think we know about space.
So, what is the universe expanding into? I mean, it seems like a no-brainer, right? If something gets bigger, it has to push into the empty space around it. That's just how things work here on Earth. But it turns out, when you're talking about the entire cosmos, the most intuitive question is actually the wrong one to be asking.
Yeah, see, the problem isn't really with the answer, it's with the question itself. It's built on a shaky foundation, a common idea we have about how the universe began. Our gut feeling, based on watching things expand in our everyday lives, is actually leading us astray. So, to get to the real answer, we have to start by tearing down our old mental image of the Big Bang.
Okay, let's dive right in and dismantle the single biggest misconception about the Big Bang.
When I say Big Bang, this is probably what pops into your head, right? A tiny, super dense speck just hanging out in this huge, empty black void. Then, bang! An explosion happens, and all the stuff that makes up galaxies and stars goes flying outwards from that single point, rushing to fill up the emptiness. It's a powerful image, and it's totally wrong. The reality is so much weirder and, frankly, cooler. The Big Bang wasn't an explosion in space, it was an explosion of space. It didn't happen at one spot. It happened, well, everywhere, all at once. The very fabric of reality itself started stretching, and it just carried all the matter and energy along for the ride. So let's put these two ideas side by side, because this is really the key. The bomb idea needs a center point, an edge, and some pre-existing void to expand into. But the reality? It has no center. It's not expanding into anything because it's creating space as it goes. Galaxies aren't like shrapnel flying through space. The space between the galaxies is what's actually growing. Grasping this is everything. So, if the bomb analogy is out, what do we replace it with? We need a better way to picture this whole thing. And luckily, cosmologists have a favorite analogy that really helps make this strange idea a little more solid. I want you to picture this with me. The entire universe we know is just the two-dimensional surface of a balloon, and all the galaxies, our Milky Way included, are just little dots drawn onto that surface with a pen. For a creature living on that surface, there's no inside or outside of the balloon. There's only the surface. That's their whole world. Now, what happens as you blow up the balloon? The dots aren't crawling across the rubber, right? They're staying put. But the rubber itself, the space between them, is stretching. So the distance between every single dot and every other dot is growing. And here's the cool part. If you were standing on any one of those dots, it would look like all the other dots are moving away from you. There's no special center of the expansion on the balloon's surface. Every point is effectively the center. And that brings us to this great quote. It just nails it, right? The Big Bang was not an explosion in space. It was more like an explosion of space. Once you really let that sink in, our whole original question, it starts to kind of fall apart.
Okay, so once you accept that space itself is expanding, it opens up a whole new can of worms. Like, what is the overall shape of space? This is where things get really wonderfully weird, and we have to talk about something called topology.
Think of topology as geometry's weird, fun cousin. It doesn't really care about angles or distances. It just cares about the fundamental properties of a shape, like how many holes it has. To a topologist, a coffee mug and a donut are the exact same thing because they both have one hole. So it asks these huge questions like, could our universe be finite but have no edge?
Let me show you how you can actually build a universe like this in your head. Think about an old-school arcade game, like Pac-Man. When you go off the right side of the screen, you just pop back in on the left. That's like taking a piece of paper and gluing the left and right edges together to make a cylinder. Now, what if you did the same with the top and bottom? If you could somehow glue the ends of that cylinder together, you'd get a donut shape or a torus. You could walk on its surface forever and never, ever find an edge.
Now, take a deep breath and try to picture that same wraparound idea, but in 3 dimensions. It's tough, I know, but it's possible that our universe has a shape just like that. It could be finite, it has a limited amount of volume, but because of this weird connectedness, it has no boundary, no edge. It's a totally closed system.
And if that's true, the consequence is just, well, it's wild. It means if you could look far enough in one direction with a powerful enough telescope, the light wouldn't just go on forever. It could travel all the way around this finite universe and come back to you from behind, You would literally be seeing the back of your own head.
All right, so now that we've got a better picture of the Big Bang and these wild ideas about cosmic donuts, let's go all the way back to that first riddle we started with. So, what is the universe expanding into? The answer is as simple as it is mind-bending. Nothing. It's not expanding into anything, because there is no anything for it to expand into. The question itself assumes there's an outside, an edge, a void beyond our universe. But as we've just seen, the universe might not have an edge at all.
And here's the kicker. For our question, it doesn't even matter which one is true. If the universe is infinite, well, it was always infinite. It's just getting bigger, stretching forever. It doesn't need an outside. And if it's finite, but unbounded, like our cosmic donut, then it's a closed system. There's no edge to expand beyond. Either way, the question, what's it expanding into, just fizzles. It becomes meaningless. And this leaves us with a final, absolutely mind-blowing thought to chew on. If our universe really is finite and wraps around on itself, could the light from a really distant galaxy travel all the way around the cosmos to reach us? And could it maybe take multiple paths to get here? Could we be looking up at the night sky and seeing the same galaxy over and over again in different directions, like a cosmic hall of mirrors? Finding those cosmic mirages, well, that's one of the most exciting hunts in all of science.